Ninth graders in the Highline School District, which is in the Burien White Center area, have been assigned a fictional novel called The Book of Unknown Americans. Let's talk about it in our segment, Unbelievable. Okay, so a father got in touch with us as a student at Evergreen High School, again in the White Center area. So ninth graders, these are like 14 to 15-year-olds. I think that's important to keep in mind. So they have their syllabus and some of the books ahead of time that they're going to be reading this year. And one of them is called The Book of Unknown Americans. And this particular book, according to the father, is being read out loud in class. So students and the teacher are kind of taking turns reading aspects and experts of this book out loud in class. Okay, what's the book about? Let's see. Random House introduces the theme of the book as such. Arturo and Ima Rivera have lived their whole lives in Mexico. One day, their beautiful 15-year-old daughter, Maribel, sustains a terrible injury, one that casts doubt on whether she'll ever be the same. And so, leaving all they have behind, the Riveras come to America with a single dream, that in this country of great opportunity and resources, Maribel can get better. Now, even if this book weren't full of perversion, I would also say that it seems to be a very interestingly timed book choice, wouldn't you say? And I'm sure that in the hands of a woke teacher, they will use it as a way to push back against immigration enforcement and try to, I don't know, make it sound like immigration agents are the enemy and these people are just coming here for a better life because their 15-year-old daughters are injured and they just want them to get better. You know what I'm saying? It's an interesting book choice. But upon reading it and apparently this dad was at like a parent-teacher thing or some sort of open house at the school and like saw that this book was going to be taught to his child, and so gets the book, decides to kind of read through the book and finds some very concerning excerpts. So a lot of sexual stuff, and that's the first problem. A lot of sexual stuff. And again, 14, 15-year-olds, we don't know the extent. Our understanding is based on this dad that parents were surprised by this, that they hadn't gotten any sort of warning that, hey, this book is on the syllabus for your child, your ninth grader, and it has some pretty adult sexual content in it, which our argument has been, and that's why we fought for parental rights, that you ought to have a lot of advance notice and an opportunity to opt your child out if themes like this come up. Now, I would also argue that themes like this shouldn't be in a book for ninth graders at all. So I'm going to read just a couple of the... Why does this fall on me? If I'm uncomfortable, imagine kids in a class that are uncomfortable reading this out loud, right? Can you imagine being a ninth grader? My pants got tight. I could sense it, but I didn't care. We just kept kissing, my hand under her scarf, and then my pants were damp and warm. I pulled back. I threw my hands over my crotch and angled my body away from her. Arturo turned off the water, twisting the handle so hard that I thought he would break it. I watched as he picked up his towel from the floor and rubbed himself dry, the hair matted on his barrel chest, his limp hanging between his stocky legs. Okay, let's keep going, Nicole. She's a good lay? I bet she is. I bet you can do whatever you want to a girl like that. I've been thinking about all the things I could do to her. Tell her to take my clothes off. Have her suck my D. Yeah, D-I-C-K. Got it. Ninth graders reading this out loud. He shimmied me closer and buried his face in my neck. I spread my fingers through his hair, feeling the warmth of his scalp, the faint scratch of his mustache against my skin. And by the time he pushed himself inside me, I believed that even after everything, even after the accident and having traveled so far, leaving behind the landscape that we had woken up to every morning our whole lives, blah, 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 blah. Which also creeps me out because you're talking about a teenage girl and some dude with a mustache pushing himself inside of her. This one, to me, is the most problematic for a variety of reasons. But again, it has to do with my concern over the theme of the book at this particular juncture in America. It talks about what immigrants have gone through to come to the United States. It says half of them ended up dead or burned up so bad that when someone finds them, their skin is black and their lips are cracked open. Another half of them drown in rivers. And half after that are picked up by La Migra and sent back to where they came from, or beaten or arrested. The women raped in the ASS. So La Migra is immigration enforcement. Half of them ended up dead or burned up so bad that when someone finds them, their skin is black and their lips are cracked open. Another half of them drowning in rivers. And half after that, picked up by La Migra and sent back to where they came from, or beaten or arrested. The women raped in the ASS. So this book, a work of fiction, being read by ninth graders at this particular time in American history, talks about immigration agents, ICE, anally raping women. And this is being read by ninth graders in a school district south of Seattle. So the father reached out to the school district to complain, as he should, and I'm glad that he did that. And they basically made all these excuses like, we're going to look into this, we're going to look into whether this is appropriate, and also said, oh, not all of the book is being read out loud. So you expect me to believe that in one of the wokest school districts in the state, they're skipping over these parts about how immigration agents are raping women? And it's like, this isn't a one-off. How many books like this have been discovered by parents in the bottom of their kid's backpack or on their child's syllabus, and when the parent reads it, they're absolutely mortified, and then they send it to us and we tell it? I mean, and all grades. Remember the book that was read to, was it kindergartners or fourth graders? I think it was somewhere in elementary school, where it's like, when you're born, a doctor guesses what your gender is. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. I mean, this is the kind of insane stuff being pushed on kids. No wonder we've got kids walking out of class to protest immigration enforcement, because they're reading a book in ninth grade that says that immigration agents are raping women. Unbelievable.